On this episode, we smoke the Leaf by Oscar 10th Anniversary Criollo, and we sample some Maker's Mark and talk about Star Hill Farms and the trip that I took down there the other week. I'm Johnny Midas, and you're listening to Burn Line Podcast. Burn Line Podcast. The burn line on a well-crafted cigar is straight and sharp as a razor, much like our wit and wisdom. And good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whoever and wherever you are. This is Johnny Midas. I am joined by Nick the Brick McCann. Nick, how are we doing this morning?
Good morning, Johnny. How you feeling, man?
Feeling pretty good. I really got cut down this week.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, I felt like a Johnny Cash song or something this week. So got that new strain of that one thing that we're not allowed to talk about, or we can have warnings slapped all over our stuff by the powers that be. But it kind of rhymes with bovid, but it's not.
That's great, man. Yeah, I just asked how you were feeling. I didn't really need all that bullshit, but
don't act like you're not impressed. All right. We are going to smoke the Leaf by Oscar 10th Anniversary Criollo. Before we get into that, we have some communication to wrap up. As always, you can contact us, burnlinepodcast@gmail.com. Shoot us an email, and we would love to hear your thoughts about the show, what you'd like to smoke, or what you'd like us to talk about, or questions you might have. Shoot it our way, and if you don't want us to read it on the air, please let us know in the email. Otherwise, we will assume that it's okay to read on air. We love communicating with you guys. Thanks for the engagement and attention. And, of course, follow us at Burnline Podcast on all the socials, and give us a like and a follow. Drive those numbers up so that we can be awesome and famous.
Yeah.
And you can say that you made it happen.
that's right.
That is how it works. I just had one listener email. Well, I didn't have just one, but I think one was spam and the other one was definitely drunk. So one that you guys get to hear about. And basically it's about volume. Especially earlier on. So we had some volume issues on some segments of some shows.
Like microphone volume.
Yeah, I'm not a sound engineer. I'm a devilishly handsome guy with great taste in cigars. You should all definitely follow me on social media, like and subscribe. But sound engineering is not a thing, so
It's okay. Johnny is so arrogant in like 99% of what he does. But then when he's not good at something, he's like, yeah, I'm just not good at that, so, we're not going to worry about it.
Yeah, it's something like that, I mean, I can't be completely fucking awesome at everything.
You're right.
Like, there has to be that one thing.
Yep, yeah, for sure.
And so, of course, it would be podcasting.
Yeah, which you spend a decent amount of time doing.
Right. Might need to close that loop. But anyway, thank you guys for listening, and please reach out, use that email, and use that social media. It's pretty cool. We also, you'll see a lot of cigars posted on our social that we don't smoke on the show, which are pretty fucking cool and maybe tasty. I'll say this, Nick and I might not share your palate, but we are both pretty picky cigar smokers, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to say that, if you see something on the Burnline Podcast feed, it's probably a cigar worth trying. It's not going to be I just felt like smoking something today cigar.
Yeah. And if we do that, we're not going to post it.
Yeah. All right. So we also have some physical mail.
Dang.
That is actually a thing, and that's good because this is a package, and this is a package from Fat Boys Cigars, who is a sponsor of the show.
Ooh.
And you got to throw that on socials. They have got this custom packing tape that has got their logo on it. So it's a box. It's wrapped in brown paper, and it's got the tape on it. That is a really sharp-looking package, actually.
It is. Yeah, I love this.
Yeah, that looks fantastic. It looks like cigars.
Yeah.
It looks like how cigars should ship.
Look, it's a parcel of cigars.
Yeah.
Ready to go?
Yeah, Nick has got he has got his knife that he used overseas to invade Afghanistan. He's about to invade this box with it. Dude, seriously, like that is a massive knife. Like a Texan or something. There you go. Yeah, hold it up to the microphone. I want to hear that shit. Yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah. Got that end cut open. It's like Christmas in here, man. By the way, for all our listeners, if you would like to send us cigars in the mail, please do so. Drop us a line, burnlinepodcast@gmail.com, and we will tell you right where to ship them. We'll even give you a shout out on the show. There we go. All right, so we got this priority mailbox in here. Oh, you should see Nick's face. Oh, wow. That is packed with goodies. Yeah, we got to open this shit up. Aw.
Oh, baby.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, guys. Wow, that is really cool.
That's awesome.
Holy shit, dude. Look how many sticks are in here. And there's 2 of each, which makes sense because there's 2 of us, so wow.
That's phenomenal. And a ship with Bovida.
Shipped with Bovida and everything. I guess, this is probably how they treat their customers.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is impressive. Like, the whole experience of opening that was awesome. That's the one that I want to try.
Yeah, that's the jacked original. The first iteration. Sorry, I'm just
take some
photos here.
We gotta gram this.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Also, can you take some pictures of me because I look really sexy today. I think that needs to go on the interwebs.
All right, Leaf by Oscar Criollo.
Well played, sir. All right, so let's get into this cigar. So the Leaf by Oscar is pretty famous. Pretty famous for being a little gimmicky, but pretty famous.
Well, you and I were talking about this actually last week.
Yeah, we were. Yeah. So it's the one that's wrapped in a tobacco leaf. Yeah. And here's what I love about this packaging. I do not like to buy cigars that are not wrapped in cellophane because I don't know what motherfucker touched them, licked them, sniffed them. You wouldn't believe some of the shit I have seen in humidors from some ignorant motherfuckers that go in there and just don't respect other people.
A lot of disdain in this room for...
Said the guy who is recovering from 3 days of illness.
Yeah.
Undisclosed illness.
Under the weather.
Yeah. Let's just say bad enough to miss work is pretty bad.
This outer leaf, what are we going to call this? We can't call this the wrapping leaf? Not the wrapper leaf, the wrapping leaf.
I don't know. It's the outer leaf, but it's not part of the cigar.
It's the leaf cellophane.
Yeah.
Leaf...
No, but I wanted to finish the thought, which is I don't like cellophane.
Right. No, you... Right.
Right. I like the protective layer that it provides, but I don't actually like the cellophane.
Yeah.
So to me, this is the perfect way to wrap a cigar.
Yeah.
It's a natural tobacco leaf. It creates almost like a humidity modifier.
For sure.
Right? It can absorb too much moisture. It can release moisture if the cigar gets dry.
Right.
It protects the cigar.
There's probably so much tobacco they throw away or sell to cigarette manufacturers.
Yeah.
So this is just a great repurposing. This is the idea of recycling.
Yeah. And it looks fantastic. And so I heard I can't remember where I heard it. I think it was on another podcast, but he was saying that this external wrapper was inspired by this Mayan mummy who was holding a cigar. They buried him with a cigar, and it kind of looked like this.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they didn't have the super slick finish that we have nowadays,
right.
The wrapper leaf or whatever.
Yeah,
it was more just 1 or 2 leaves rolled up.
Yeah,
back then. So Leaf by Oscar, it's the cigar that's wrapped in the outer leaf. Please enjoy. Please do not light the outer leaf. And we have the 10th Anniversary Criollo, which is kind of special. And,
so the outer cellophane, I thought it's a little darker than the normal. The outer cellophane. This cellophane leaf is darker than the...
God, this is going to be a challenge all podcasts, isn't it?
I know.
The protective leaf.
Can we call it? Can we just name this leaf Jeff
Yes.
and just call
Yes.
it Jeff?
Yes.
Jeff is darker than other Jeffs.
God. That came out wrong. Yeah, so anyway, we've got yeah. It is actually it's remarkably dark tobacco leaf.
The other leaf Jeffs are usually a little bit lighter of.
It's the same color as the wrapper.
It is.
I'm almost wondering if this isn't wrapper leaves that didn't make the cut.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they do have a very high quality control on their wrappers.
Look at this.
So for all of you guys out there in internet land, I actually picked this cigar out for us because Nick the Brick loves...
Look how light those are.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
these are definitely dark.
Those are Connecticut Jeffs.
Those are Connecticut Jeffs. And these are Criollo Jeffs, apparently.
Criollo Maduro.
Yeah. Yeah. It's darker than natural. Yeah. But I picked these out because Nick the Brick loves Criollo wrappers. So hope you enjoy it. It is time to cut our cigar. The official cutting is brought to you by Fat Boy Cigars. The bold and delicious flavors of premium hand-selected tobacco leaves are highlighted in the original Jacked cigars by Fat Boy Cigars. And don't forget to try the Fat Boy Cigars Boots on the Ground series. For every cigar you purchase in this series, Fat Boy Cigars will donate $1 to charities benefiting our frontline heroes. Fat Boy Cigars, welcome to the Fat Boys world. And we got a package of Fat Boys cigars today, so I'm looking forward to smoking those.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and clip these. And as usual, we remind you to clip your cigar with authority. No limp-wristed cutting allowed. All right, so Nick, why don't you tap out your cigar, start toasting away. I'm going to grab an ashtray and take care of my plosives. And
what are you talking about?
Plosives, man. All right, I'm back. The world may resume revolving. And it is time for the official toasting of these cigars. And as always, we remind you, toasted, not roasted. We want to go ahead and gently toast this delicious tobacco leaf. I am using it's a single soft flame that is kept lit by a single torch flame. So it's kind of a two flame, but it's really a one flame. And depending on how you hold it, you can kind of emphasize one or the other. It's great for anything short of outdoors. It does not work great outdoors. You can make it work outdoors, but... And Nick, you've got your 3-flame flat flame. Gorgeous. Love that lighter.
My absolute favorite.
Yeah.
I take it everywhere with me.
Yeah. Very robust.
Blowing on the cherry, blowing on the foot to get the cherry going.
Yep.
We never pull, at least on the show, we never pull the flame through the cigar. Never pull a lit flame through the cigar.
No, you're right. I don't think we've talked about that, but it is pretty common. I'll see people, they kind of do that whoop, whoop, whoop thing. Yeah. It's hard to do it like, audio only. But that little quick puff, puff, puff in,
For sure.
While they're holding the flame up. Yeah. And it gets it lit fast.
Well, they stoke the cigar basically.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, it's the most time effective way to light a cigar. It's also the most destructive.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, it's a fucking cigar. Like, you already committed to the hour or two or whatever. Right. So, you might as well not fuck it up at the get-go. Spend the extra 30 seconds. So, and here we go.
So Oscar Leaf by Oscar has a couple regular production cigars. I think 4 lines. So they have a Connecticut, a Sumatra, a
Corojo,
and
a Maduro.
And do they have a Criollo? Do they make a Criollo regular production? Or
they don't.
Oh, okay.
They do not make a Criollo regular production. It's a 10th anniversary especial.
Sorry, it's my first day in the industry. Yeah, special 10th.
By the way, we both spend like hours on Google before the show, so don't be confused by our brilliance here.
Yeah, no. But actually, so someone told me. Actually, it was. Should I redact his name? It was Schmim from Schmigar's Daily.
Yeah, name redacted. Also, caveat: the views and opinions expressed by the host of the show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions held by the host of this show. Lawyers made me say that part.
He was like, yeah, you can smoke the band. I wasn't having a personal conversation. I heard this on one of his videos.
Yeah.
He said he can smoke the band. So it reminded me this morning, I texted the gentleman that represents this company. And I said, do you smoke the Leaf by Oscar brand? And his answer, and I quote, no, it's homogenized tobacco paper. But just because it can be smoked doesn't mean it should be smoked.
Yeah, I mean, technically, you can smoke this entire cigar, including Jeff. Please don't. I've seen people do that.
And the band.
And the band.
Yeah.
And the band around Jeff, because Jeff has the same band on the outside.
But that burn would be terrible.
Oh, it would go up in a ball of flame.
Yeah,
It wouldn't smolder whatsoever. It would burn.
Yeah, terrible flavors.
But it will all burn.
Right.
It's all natural tobacco product.
Yep.
I guess that's not super fair because the band is actually a bleached paper made of compressed tobacco.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I shouldn't say paper because it doesn't have like the paste additives.
It's more papery though than any other band.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's velvety.
Right.
Right. So it's like that natural, but it's really just the sugars in the leaf bind the pulp, the tobacco leaf pulp together. But it is bleached. Anyway, so yeah, it's a weird. Like I said, I've always found the leaf to be a little gimmicky. I'm not gonna lie, but it's a cool gimmick. You know? Like it looks cool.
Yeah.
And assuming that you're smart enough to take Jeff off before you smoke the cigar,
Right.
He makes a good cigar. Like it's a good stick.
100% agree.
So always have enjoyed the Leaf line. And this 10th Anniversary Criollo is new and different and exciting.
And super good off the foot.
Yeah, I thought so.
It's so good right now.
Yeah, I thought so.
Holy cannoli.
So
this is like the Criollo leaf here is, the wrapper leaf is definitely darker than natural. It's close to a Maduro, but it's not dark Maduro. It's like a
Colorado Maduro.
Yeah, it's a between medium and full in terms of the color scale.
It is gorgeous.
It is, yeah.
We kind of skipped presentation.
Yeah.
So these were presented in a box, right? I bought them out of the box from the manufacturer. Most of the leaves come in like a tray box that has like 4
They have all four,
compartments.
for all 4 wrappers.
Yeah. These were solo because, it's a special, unique thing.
Right.
The box was fine and really goes with the sort of rustic wrapper very well.
Yeah.
I will say that the wrapper on the actual cigar on this is a little bit finer than the rest of the presentation. Like, this is actually a really gorgeous wrapper. It doesn't have that super smooth processed look that we talked about as passé.
No.
But look how, the veins are super fine, and see where the leaf is overlapped here. Like, it's a perfect seam.
Yeah.
It's really. I'm actually really impressed by that.
But there's discoloration in mine. There's some lighter spots. There's some darker spots.
Yeah, I've got. I can see what the leaf is changing color as it wraps around the cigar. I don't have like modeling per se, but it's very interesting.
Yeah.
It does hold your eye.
And this is a Honduran puro.
Yes.
And
Which is not super common. Okay, so I've got to jump into flavor because this tastes like Raisin Bran.
Raisin, the cereal?
Yeah. You know how Raisin Bran has got it's got that like earthy bran flavor, but also that sweetness from the raisins, like that, grown in the ground sweetness.
Yeah.
But then on the retrohale, it adds a complementary component that I can't put my finger on that is really juicy.
Yeah, I love, for some reason, I love Honduran tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorites. I think it's like not used super, super frequently, but like the Alec Bradley Prensado is comprised of a lot of Honduran tobacco, and I think the Alec Bradley Magic Toast is also comprised of a lot of Honduran tobacco, and I like those cigars a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, for all of you listeners out there, if you want a real treat, go ahead and buy yourself a 5-pack of Magic Toast and put it in your humidor for 3 months. And my experience has been it's like a different cigar. Give it 3 to 6 months, and man, it is delicious. Not to say that it's not right off the bat, but it gets better.
We should review that one.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
It'd be a good one. I can't. The retrohale though, like it's a different flavor and it's very complimentary.
Yeah.
It adds a little bit of spice and just a touch of bitter to offset like the sweet brandy flavor from the regular draw.
I mean, this cigar is so flippin' good right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even like this cigar is one. It's not super full. It's like a medium body, but geez, it's got that sweetness that's not like a candy sweetness.
Right.
It's a fruit sweetness, right?
Yeah.
It's a dried fruit sweetness.
Yeah.
But then I also get a little kick of spice.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Especially on the retrohale.
Right.
You'll get that little bit of, hey, I'm still here.
Right. And but that's not like the sweet and spice is not like a flavor that we usually combine.
Right.
In food.
Maybe that's why I'm having trouble putting my finger on it.
Yeah.
Kind of like a you ever had like that hot holiday punch? It's like a fruit punch with like spicy cinnamon in it.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know what it's called, but
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of that in like the way the flavors play together. It doesn't taste like that at all, but sort of a similar experience. Also, the smoke output's really good.
It is really good.
Look at this burn, man.
Burn them really well.
Yeah, that is gorgeous. The burn line is not like straight all the way around. It's following the natural contours of the wrapper. You know, every time you have a vein, for example, it's going to follow that. And the actual burn line, we talked about this, which is you have the ash on one side, you have the wrapper on the other, and then in between you have 2 stripes, a dark one and a light one. And this one is really gorgeous. But the way that it's burning actually complements like the rustic nature of the cigar packaging and branding so well. I mean, the experience right now, you know, it's almost artistic at the same time that it's just delicious.
Well, it's like the contradiction or the juxtaposition of the white gray like ash stacking versus this. I'm going to show you the picture that I just took. I don't know how you would describe this wrapper, but it's there's different colors on it.
Yeah, there is definitely. Yeah,
it's like tiger stripes.
Yeah,
in a nonlinear, random blotchiness.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah, but there's definitely
it's eye catching. One of the things I like about the wrapper is like. It has appropriate oil on it. Like a lot of the leaf cigars are oily, but not like, whoa, that's oily. You know?
Yeah.
Kind of a matte sheen, you know, from the oil. And it's like velvety, you know, not a dry velvety, but very like tactily, very pleasing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that goes with the band, which is the same.
Right.
You know, because it's not, you know, a traditional paper band that is like smooth and has your gloss print on it. You know, this is matte. The ink is what is it, squid ink or something? But it's something edible. Ink as well.
Yeah.
It's all food grade, and so that's why they say yes, you can actually smoke the band. Don't recommend it.
Yeah,
but you could. I tried it one time.
Me too.
I heard you could do it.
Me too. Yeah.
What'd you think?
I don't know if it was a psychosomatic flavor difference, but like it tasted a little bit different when I got to the point in the cigar. But it didn't. I don't know. It made me like more concerned while I was doing it.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing to myself?
Yeah. I had the same experience. Like the flavor definitely changed. Not not for the better, not really for the worse, but it changed. And yeah, I was the same. Like, should I be doing this?
Right.
I don't know. So I tried it and then I pulled the band off.
Yeah.
Just smoked the rest of the cigar. So,
And for everyone wondering, I think too, this is what I do with like all my cigars. I don't do this out loud, but I do this kind of evaluation with the cigar to myself.
yeah.
Every time I smoke a cigar, like I look at it, I look at the burn, I think about the flavors, and it's a good way to kind of acclimate yourself to being able to talk about it and approach it in a more sophisticated, but I think it also enhances the enjoyability of it.
Yeah, it does for me. Everybody's experience is going to be unique to them. And, for some people, a cigar is a chance to feel important, right? And for some people, it's a chance to get away. For some people, it's like for me, I'm a nerd on this hobby. And it's a chance, like, in this experience, for me, this is like taking a tour of Honduras, So actively, like, paying attention, I think, always enhances the experience.
Yeah,
right? Paying
100%.
attention to the cigar. And one way to do that is to, like, have this conversation with yourself about,
Right.
Here's what's going on, here's what I'm tasting and feeling and all of that. Do you ever talk to your cigar? Personify it?
No, never.
I know a couple guys that do. I don't really.
You mean like I just named this tobacco leaf Jeff?
Yeah. Okay, Jeff. So how are we doing today? So we've got, I don't know, maybe a half of an inch in, and so far, really enjoying the flavor profile on this. Definitely has that, like, that sort of branny flavor where, like, it's not sweet, but it is kind of on the sweet side, and it has like that dried fruit sweetness, and then there's like a sort of cinnamon spice to it, but none of them are like sharp and overpowering. I'd call it a mid-bodied probably.
Yeah.
Smoke output is good. The smoke presence, it's there.
Yeah. It's a little light.
Yeah, like can't really adjectivalize it. Definitely like the mouth feel. It's like a light smoke output, but you can taste it on all the parts of your palate, and you can retrohale it with impunity. Like, it's not going to punish you for retrohaling. Although I probably shouldn't talk about that because I retrohale so much that I'm sure my nose hairs are like permanently singed. So it probably affects me a little less than other folks.
I feel like the leaf font, the lettering of the leaf is the same as the maker's.
Oh, that's so good though.
The cigar's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It really is. So let's talk about Maker. So a couple of weeks ago, I had a chance to go to Maker's Mark and tour and participate in a private select event where we picked out staves to finish a custom whiskey. So Maker's Mark does this for certain select clients, which is why it's called private select. And I wanted to talk to folks about that because, whiskey and cigars go together like peanut butter and jelly, and Maker's Mark is kind of famous. So for starters, I brought 2 bottles into the smoky back room where deals are struck and fortunes are made, adjacent to the Blanco Cigar Lounge, nestled among the complex of rooms that comprises Union Cigar, Hanover, Pennsylvania, USA, where Burnline Podcast proudly records. And I brought the classic Makers and also the Makers recipe number 46.
French oaked.
And I will talk to you about what that means. But you'll notice this
Civ.
SIV with the star.
Yeah.
And over here,
Yep.
well, that is Star Hill Farm, Laredo, Kentucky. That is the actual place where the Maker's Mark brand is distilled.
Star Hill Farm.
Star Hill Farm.
And it's like there's a plant there.
Yeah, it's a
distillery.
It's a complex.
Yeah.
There's some buildings that are old.
Right.
And a lot of they're kind of preserved because they're old. Including there's one house that has got 2 windows that are at horseback level, and it was the first drive-through pub.
Wendy's. Oh.
No, pub.
Wow, really?
You would ride up on your horse and stick your mug through the window,
You get
and
a
they would
pint.
fill it with beer. And you could do that and not get a DUI.
I guess that's true. That is operating.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Was it like a mystery, kind of like you just stuck your mug through and closed your eyes, hope you got something good?
Yeah, I don't think they really branded beer back then.
Right, yeah.
You know, it was
Yeah.
like everything was house beer.
Oh,
you know?
the dark ale again. Oh.
No, there was one beer on tap, and it was beer. It's probably spelled B-E-I-R. So before we go any further, why don't we sample this original Makers? So pretty famous. Everybody likes Makers. If you're into bourbon, you got to know Makers. Oh, you want to get a rock? Yeah, you can. Thanks. Fucking Philistine.
We
This
talked.
is your
Yeah, go ahead.
this is your classic 45% alcohol by volume,
Okay.
which is 90 proof. So if you have a proofing number, it's just double the alcohol percentage. And it has to be 80% to be called a whiskey
Whiskey.
legally. If it's less than 80%, it will not sell because it tastes like shit.
Really?
Yeah. So there is a like between 20% and 80% tastes like shit. And for a lot of people, it's like 15% to 80%. And so good luck finding something in that range.
Right.
Also, selling it can be very difficult because of laws. So
Yeah.
it has to be 80% here in the USA anyway to be called a whiskey. So if it's not, like if you were selling 75%, what would you even market it as? You know?
So that would be like 37.5 proof.
No, it's the other way around.
Okay.
It would be 37.5% alcohol by volume,
So then, what is 75%? That's
150 proof,
which is high.
which would kill you.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I mean, it would kill me.
Yeah.
I'm Scottish. I can't just drink a shot. All right, so we've got we just have shot glasses here. We're not
But we're sipping.
we're not getting drunk, so
We're
yeah.
sipping.
All right, so let's give this a taste. I think like the vanilla and cinnamon is pretty famous on the Makers palate. Very like creamy caramel and vanilla flavors, with just that little bit of cinnamon hot that comes with a 90 proof bourbon. And it is like the standard bourbon is 80 proof. There's plenty of bourbons out there that are higher than that. You can get cask strength, which is always higher as well.
Yeah.
But you're, I don't know, I guess I'll say bottom shelf or like your average.
Yeah.
It's just 80 proof.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makers is not. Makers is sold at 90.
Is this one of the bottles that you dipped?
It is. So, Makers, if for our listeners out there, if you're not putting a name with a face right now, Maker's Mark is the bourbon that comes with the red wax seal on top. And these are all dipped by hand. And I can't remember what they said, but I think they said that the people that do this, that actually hand dip them, can do 30 a minute.
Oh.
And they only do any one job for 30 minutes at a time. That's to prevent like ergonomic disaster or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Dude, they have the forearms of gods.
dude, like, so because here's how you do. I'm not gonna actually move the bottle around because it has to go upside down,
Right.
and I don't want to spill this by accident. But you take the bottle and you flip it over like this, and you dunk it, and then you're holding it by the bottom of the bottle, and you dunk it, and then you take it out 90 degrees, spin,
Oh.
and set it down.
Oh.
So I can see, someone doing that in 2 seconds per bottle.
Whoa.
But I mean, it took me like 20 seconds per bottle, and they look like shit. I mean, this one came out okay. This one looks like hot garbage.
Oh, you did this one too?
Yeah, I did both of them.
Oh, what happened here?
Well, it's just what happens when
No,
you're
I've
shitty at dipping.
I've never seen this on a Maker's bottle.
Yeah, no shit, because I'm not good at it. But you can see, like, it's got the place to put your...
Did you write? Is that your handwriting?
yeah.
Oh God, it's disgusting.
Well, I didn't want them to write it. Now, look at the bottom of the bottle. See that?
What is that?
You're supposed to write your initials so they can
that's
call you
your-
back up to the platform.
That's your insignia.
Yeah, it's my insignia.
That's what you carved into the ashtray that we're not using today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to hang on to these bottles. Like, they mean something to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm sure the whiskey will disappear long before the bottle does. But, super cool experience. And, yes, I got to dip both of these. So
That's not. This wasn't your first time down there, was it?
it was first trip to Makers.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I guess you've done bourbon tours at other spots in Kentucky, but not at Makers. Makers is
Star Hill Farm, but yes.
right. So Star Hill Farms makes Maker's Mark
Yeah.
and others.
I'm not actually sure.
Okay.
I know that Makers has like several, like sub brands, like the Makers 46, and they've got quite a few SKUs. But I don't know actually. Now, I believe the tour guide was telling us that they do age some whiskey for other people.
Okay.
I don't think they're like bottling it up, and they might be.
Yeah.
A lot of that's hush hush. It's just like the cigar industry,
Right.
Where I'm sort of utilizing production
Yeah.
to keep things rolling, but I'm not going to necessarily advertise it, especially if I'm making a product that sells for less than my product,
Yeah. Right.
because I don't want to cheapen the brand. And if it's the other way around, I'm probably not allowed by my customer
Yeah.
to say that I'm making it for them because they don't want their brand devalued.
Right.
So same as the cigar industry and the wine industry and everything else, and the watch industry. Like Tudor Bay.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I don't know, but
Oh, you don't know about Tudor Bay
no.
on timepieces?
I wear an Apple Watch.
Oh, good for you. Very smart. I'm wearing a gold watch because I'm Johnny Midas.
So who makes the Costco or the Kirkland brand whiskey bourbon?
Oh, it's a great question because that's a really good bourbon.
Yeah, it is.
That is like a
But it's like pretty.
surprisingly
It's pretty
good
well known who makes it. I've heard it talked about before.
Oh, who makes it? You want to ask Siri real quick?
Hi Siri.
Hey Siri, who makes Kirkland's bourbon?
Kirkland's Bourbon is made by Sazerac Company, which is owned by Buffalo Trace Distillery. You dumb fuck.
Okay, so taking a brief break from Maker's Mark. Man, this is a really good cigar. I guess that's probably not super helpful to our listeners, but if you can grab one of these 10th Anniversary Criollos, definitely give it a try. I'm assuming it's a limited run. I'm not sure, but this is a really delicious, medium-bodied cigar. The burn has been fantastic. The smoke output is good. The smoke is light on the palate. You've got about an inch ash going on there, stacking dimes. Looks good.
Yeah, I never ashed my cigar.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah,
That's why God invented dustbusters.
yeah. Ours is broken in the lounge right now, so donate a hand vac to Union Cigar Hanover.
Yes, please. It's a tax write-off.
I think it says Barton 1792, which is the place that they make.
1792, which is another really good bourbon.
Yeah, they also make Sazerac. Sazerac owns it.
Oh, yeah. And Sazerac also, don't they own Weller? Isn't that the same?
I think so.
Yeah. They make some good stuff.
It's like amazing how in cigars I can just like rattle this stuff off. Like, oh yeah, they're blended by blah 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 blah, and but actually they own the production, but they don't own the distribution. They own the, and it's like with bourbon, I'm like, is that the same one as the?
Yeah, this is not a bourbon show. This is a cigar show. There's probably good whiskey shows out there, but yeah, I've got friends in Kentucky, and they're really into bourbon.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic because, they'll send me bourbons, they'll recommend bourbons, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So kind of have the hookup. And I think bourbon, pairs pretty well with cigars. To be honest with you, my default whiskey pairing is probably brandy. I just find that
Yeah.
I find that the grape's origin just pairs really well with tobacco.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my default, but bourbon's probably second.
That's
I think,
that's super French of you.
Is it French?
I don't know.
I prefer Armenian brandy.
What about cognac? That's French, right?
Cognac is brandy from
Yeah.
the Cognac region of France.
From France, yeah.
Easy to find because it's cognac. Just like bourbon is, a 51% corn mash bill
Right.
aged in charred oak barrels.
Yeah.
You can do that anywhere. They make it in Japan and it's really good, but they can't call it Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, right? Legally, because it's not from Kentucky. So that's the regular makers. Now, this over here is the maker's number 46 French oaked. And so basically what happened was, you imagine a barrel, which is actually called a cask. A barrel is a unit of measure. But so imagine a whiskey cask, and you're looking at it side view, and you cut it in half from top to bottom, so you can see the inside. Can you imagine
When
that?
it's laying on its side?
No, standing up.
Okay.
Okay, so it's standing up,
Gotcha.
and you're looking at it from the side
Side
and it's
view.
cut in half, so you can see inside
Yeah.
the barrel. Well, what gives the whiskey its flavor?
The wood?
Right. So if you can increase the surface area of the wood, you can increase the flavor.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So somebody came up with this idea from the head of the barrel, suspending 10 strips of wood through the barrel. So now imagine these strips going from top to bottom inside that barrel.
Yeah.
It's cut in half, right? Those are called staves.
Oh.
And that's what you finish the bourbon with. So when we do the private select tour, we are starting with a cask of barrel strength, which means it hasn't been diluted yet. So it's probably 114 proof, something like that.
Okay.
So you're starting with the cask, and they literally take the cask and they remove the bunghole. They drain the cask.
That's not what it's called.
Yes, it is.
The bunghole?
Yes.
All right.
Where do you think that word came from?
I don't know. A ship. A pirate ship. Honestly.
Yes.
So they remove the bunghole. What do they do with the excess bungholes?
And they put them back in the barrel. Would you stop? I'm being serious here. So they remove the bunghole and they drain the cask and they open the cask and they affix these staves and then they re-raise the cask, which is what it's called, to put it back together.
How many staves
And then
per barrel?
10.
Okay.
And then they pour the whiskey back in, and then they put the bunghole back in, or the bung plug, or the bung. I think it's just called the bung. Anyway, so they're all bunged up.
And what kind of wood are the staves? The French oak?
It's French oak, which is why it's called French oaked.
But the barrels are not French oak.
Well, so the barrels are white oak, but if you're a forester, there's actually like 5 breeds of oak that are really white oak, but they're just slightly variant and have slightly different names.
Uh-huh.
And those are all, like, you can legally use them to make
Okay.
white oak barrels.
Okay.
And then they put it back in, and they finish it, and it's I think it's like 90 days. It doesn't take long. You can really overdo it. That's a lot of extra surface area.
You can like over infuse
Totally. Yeah.
the wood flavor?
Yeah.
Wow. That's really interesting.
Yeah, you don't want to overdo it. So we're going to go ahead and try this number 46, and we can compare it to the regular makers and see if you can sort of taste the difference there. So I'm going to go ahead and pour you a little shot of this. Pardon my boarding house reach over here.
Thank you, John.
You're quite welcome. All right. I'm going to go ahead and give this a little sip.
He told me, smell it with your nose, with your mouth open.
Yeah, so if you want to smell whiskey as opposed to wine, what you do is you stick your nose as far in as you can, and you leave your mouth wide open, and then you breathe in. And that kind of suppresses the harsh. So I'm demonstrating for Nick. Y'all can't see over the air, but this is how they did it on the tour. So I'm just going to copy what they did with their body and show you. And it lets you get the flavors without the alcohol just searing your nostrils closed.
Jeez.
Right?
I hardly drink. It's pretty amazing.
So if you taste them back to back,
Yeah.
the original has a much more pronounced like honey caramel finish,
Yes, it's way sweeter.
and the 46 has a spice to it.
It's a freaking punch. It's sharp.
Yes,
Wow.
it is not that much more alcoholic. It's 47%.
That's just it's flavor. The difference is flavor.
So this is 94 proof versus 90 proof. Definitely has a sharp, spicy
Wow.
finish to it. The nose on the 46 has a, I guess, really the same. Like you can just taste, and it's like all the spices you would think of when you think of like you're getting ready to bake for the holidays. It's that whole palette of spice range there. So yeah, a noticeable difference, and the only difference is those 10 staves, and so on these staves they actually cut grooves all the way down the stave, which increases the surface area.
Like a bunch of grooves, or just one, or three?
A bunch of grooves, like it looks like a Ruffles potato chip.
Wait,
right?
they do it horizontally, or they do it top to bottom?
Top to bottom.
Okay.
And then they toast it
Before they put it in.
Yeah, just like the rest of the oak, the charred part.
Yeah. With
They actually
like a blowtorch?
Infrared, and
Oh.
what that means is the peaks are more charred and the valleys are less charred.
Oh.
So you have more surface area to cover the whiskey, and you also have a range of flavors there, from a lot of char to almost no char.
Right.
Right.
Wow.
So yeah, like there's a lot of like, that's why it says number 46. It took 46 tries
Good God, man.
to get this right. That's why it's called Maker's 46. And technically it's Bill's recipe number 46.
Bill's recipe.
So Bill was somebody who worked for Maker's Mark. Jeff is a wrapper that wraps the actual wrapper of the cigar that we're smoking.
I'm looking at Jeff, and I'm looking at Bill's creation.
Yeah. So speaking of which, this Leaf by Oscar 10th Anniversary Criollo that we're smoking. So far, I guess, what are we, an inch in? Inch and a...
I'm in the second third.
Yeah, I'm just about there. I'm just transitioning.
Yeah. It's a really good cigar. This the pairing's decent. I'm not necessarily pairing. I've just taken 2 sips of Maker's throughout the course of this cigar, but it's pretty complimentary.
Yeah, so we weren't intending to pair on this show per se, but now that you mention, of course, bourbon is very forgiving with cigars. That's what I like about bourbon. I think the only challenge with bourbon is the same challenge that all whiskeys have with cigars, which is, that alcohol does harsh your palate fast.
Yeah.
It just numbs all of your taste buds and
Right.
stuff. It's well known. People in the whiskey industry are well aware of this. They will typically eat like a cracker, like
in between.
like a non-salted saltine.
Right.
That kind of cleans the palate.
It's a
little bit.
reset.
Yeah, but it doesn't take away the fact that the alcohol just soaked into your pores all over your mouth.
Well, I think the thought is to like that remove it. It's not like if you drink 2 consecutively, it's like, oh, was that really the taste of the second one, or was that how the 2 intermingle and taste together? You know?
So in the industry, for people that are tasting bourbon, that work for Maker's Mark, for example, they will take a sip of the bourbon and like shoot it.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but they'll just swish it around their mouth and swallow it. And then they take a second sip, and that's how they judge it.
Oh.
Because they're like, you can't.
Oh. The first one's
don't-
exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't really sample a whiskey on a fresh palate. It just, for starters, the entire rest of the glass is going to taste different.
Is it because there's so much shock to the palate?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know why I yelled there. I'm sorry.
What? So I'm 2-fisting, man. I've got my regular and my 46. So since you mentioned pairing, I'm going to try pairing this. And I'm going to do the puff, shoot, puff. So love this one. So take a nice, long, slow draw on this. And shoot this. Oh, wow. Wow. That was really interesting because the way that the flavors interacted, it just released this blossom of like pear flavor. So you've got this. Yeah, you've got this. And, I was thinking about the raisin bran analogy, and actually that bran flavor is almost turning into graham cracker.
Uh-huh. Yeah, dude, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
On the Criollo. And then the spice in the 46 kind of took that graham cracker flavor and made it more like a s'more, where it's like toasted graham cracker.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden this pear flavor just kind of blossomed out of that.
Wow.
As I exhaled.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love the shooting the whiskey experiment, because it's really different from like the sip and puff pairing. It's harder to do because you run out of whiskey fast and then you're drunk and you can't taste anything. But I like to do it at least once every time.
Yeah. I think that like tasting cigars on their own is an acquired skill, or it's a trained skill. And then like tasting whiskey on its own is a trained skill. And then I think that tasting them at the same time too is a trained skill.
Yeah.
Like it's like I am not good at taste is taste, right? I can tell you what I think I'm tasting.
Yeah.
But like I am not able to dissect the taste of the pairing as well as I am just the cigar itself.
Yeah. Definitely there's like a skill and experience there. I was listening to a pretty good video by Michael Herklotz about pairing. And he was like, the cigar is a blend of flavors. It's supposed to be enjoyable. And I think he was talking about wine specifically. But he said, the wine is the same thing. Like they're blending this to be enjoyable. And the art of pairing is figuring out flavors that go together. And he said, just like a chef, you're thinking, well, this over here is fatty, so I want to add this flavor over here that's acidic. And those are going to complement each other and create a new blend that's also enjoyable, right? So not necessarily, when you're pairing, you're not necessarily coming up with something that's better.
Right.
But it is different and enjoyable, right?
Yeah.
And, there's some things like, I would never pair this Leaf by Oscar 10th Anniversary Criollo with Jaeger.
Okay.
That just, no. That's just a no,
Yeah.
Or if I want to be silly, I wouldn't pair it with Red Bull,
Right.
Because it is going to create a combination that is not enjoyable.
Just bizarre.
Yeah, it's just bizarre.
Right.
It's like putting orange juice in your cold cereal in the morning.
Or like a parsley leaf on your PB&J sandwich.
Yeah.
Like what?
That's a pairing, man.
Yeah.
Totally. You know what they eat in France? They will take French bread and slather it with butter. There's a lot of butter in French cooking, which is one reason why they're so healthy. No, it's true. Like actual natural butter is
Which
actually
is
very healthy.
exactly the opposite of what we've been taught in America.
Like it's actually very healthy for you, and it reduces your appetite.
Ooh.
But
Skinny.
they will slice radishes and put radishes on top of the butter on the bread and eat it.
Okay.
So I tried it one time, and I was shocked because it was really good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think of radishes as something that I want to put in my mouth.
Right.
It's not like I'm walking around, gee, I wish I could eat a radish.
Yeah.
Now, I guess if you sliced them too thick, it would suck. But
Right.
I sliced mine pretty thin, and it was surprisingly good. So that's an example of a pairing that might be surprising.
Well, and I think too
works.
because like the bread is like a base,
Yep.
right? And then the radish I think is the topping, right? Not in a literal sense, but also in a flavor, layer sense, where it's like the bread. You know exactly what the bread's gonna bring, and so what are we gonna add to that? What are we gonna sprinkle on top?
Well, it's really like the bread is like a sugar,
Yeah.
and the butter is a creamy, rich fat, and then you're adding bitter and just a little acid, and so it makes sense. Another thing that you could use instead of radish would be watercress. That would actually work well too because it has a similar flavor profile.
Well, it's like the olive oil and pepper that we dip the bread into.
Yeah.
Is the same
Yeah.
Right, the bread's got that sugar, the olive oil's got the fat, and then the pepper's got that little
That spice.
Yeah.
Got to offset it. Yeah.
right.
Yep. So that's what pairing is about for me. So a little bit more about Maker's Mark, Star Hill Farm, big sprawling campus. They have a ton of stuff going on there. They're actually hybridized breeding trees to make barrels out of.
Nice.
So the logging and wood industry around the whole bourbon thing is actually a real thing.
Yeah.
They're partnered with the University of Kentucky, I believe, on that.
Nice.
They also have like they rotate crops and fields, and they're doing experiments there that's also used by ag students and stuff like that to study, to maximize kind of the partnership between humans and the soil and the land. And there's just such a really strong conservationist movement. And something interesting that I found, whiskey and cigars, they're both consumables.
Yeah.
But these companies are not rapacious. In fact, they're probably the best stewards of the land that we have right now.
Right.
The way that Star Hill Farm is treating the land and using it multifaceted, not just to grow all of the grain that they use, but also to teach and to learn and to experiment. But they're actively figuring out, how can I get yields that I need without depleting the soil, and how can I leave this as a heritage for generations?
Well, that's the thing, is that at Star Hill they understand that the longevity of the land is equals the longevity of their own success, which is, it's a logical conclusion they come to, but now they're going to do everything they can to cultivate and preserve the land, right? And
they're all of the water, every barrel of Star Hill comes from the same water reservoir, 150,000 gallons a day. And I've got some pictures here. A smaller water reservoir than I would have expected for that kind of volume.
Yeah.
But they're very concerned about preserving that, especially through, the changes in climate we've seen in the last 10 years. It's been challenging for them. So they're partnering with, the EPA and universities and stuff like that to, really take care of the natural resources. So that part of the experience was really cool to see that. They also have this just amazing bar, which, again, I took pictures, but we can't share that over the audio only podcast.
Yeah.
But they have this huge, 20 by 30 foot installation of glass, and it's like stained glass, but it's layered. So instead of the pieces butting up against each other, they're laid on top of each other.
Nice.
And it kind of starts out red on the bottom and then transitions to orange and then blue at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have these pieces of glass that are maybe a foot wide by 20 inches long that look almost like leaf-shaped but twisted, that are blue, that look like they're flying off of the installation and up towards the ceiling and out the window. It's just grandiose.
What room was this a part of?
It's just the bar. When you first start the tour, they have a bar and you can order stuff. So they had some mixed drinks that I tried. You can also just get the bourbon straight. And then in the restaurant, which was closed, I can't remember why, renovation or something, but they also traditionally serve bourbon slushies that I hear are really good, but also really strong.
Bourbon slushies.
It sounds amazing,
yeah.
Right? That needs to be a thing everywhere.
Yeah.
So that was it was a really enjoyable tour, and it's a really enjoyable whiskey. So I just wanted to share that with everybody, and go out and grab yourself a bottle, and if you like bourbon, try it. See what you like, see what you don't like. And with that, I think it is time for our cigar news of the week. Nick?
Cigar News. Here is your host, Nicholas McCann.
STG, Scandinavian Tobacco Group, who is the owner of Cigars International, Cigar Page.
General,
right. Sorry, not Cigar Page. Cigar Bid.
Mm-hmm.
right, General Cigar, so every single brand in the industry, basically. They released their quarter 2 report, and earnings revenue was down a little bit year over year. Projections were adjusted.
2.3%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So John says it doesn't matter. I say sound the alarm.
Yeah, this is your friendly neighborhood MBA here. Yeah, on giant multinational conglomerates like that, it's really hard to tell where they draw their revenue numbers and what they're trying to do for tax purposes and stuff like that. It's really like, if they're down year over year and they hit their guidance, that means that, their part of the market they're involved in is shrinking, and they knew it was going to shrink. If it's down and they didn't hit their guidance, then it doesn't necessarily mean the market overall is in a downturn. They might just suck at sales or don't have competitive products, stuff like that. But they're so big, they could have offloaded a brand or something. It's hard to tell. But their year-over-year revenue was down 2.3%, which is, not insignificant. Obviously, when you're that big, that's a lot of fucking money.
Right.
But and then Fat Boy Cigars has a new cigar out.
Ooh. Yeah, thin green line. It's a Candela.
Not your Grandpappy's Candela.
Right.
And this is in honor of our military, correct?
Yes. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so same deal as the thin white line, thin blue line, thin red line series. I think this is the Boots on the Ground series.
Yep.
And so yeah, this is the Candela to support the military. And
Is it Wounded Warriors?
it is Wounded Warriors.
Yeah, that's what I remember because
Yeah.
the logo is easy to remember.
Yeah.
So every thin green line that you purchase, they will donate $1 to Wounded Warriors, which is awesome. And from everything I've heard, like, this is a special Candela.
Yeah.
It doesn't smoke like your traditional Candela.
Right.
So I'm gonna try to give that a shot.
Yeah.
See what's up there. So new cigar from Fat Boys. STG dropped their guidance. Other than that, it seems like pretty slow news week for cigars.
Yeah, pretty slow.
And with that, it's time to wrap this puppy up. So coming back to this 10th Anniversary Criollo, Leaf by Oscar. I'm still in the second third, and it is burning pretty slowly. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been smoking this for an hour and
Yeah.
halfway through, right? But why don't we go ahead and give it a ranking? For all our listeners out there, we rank on a 50-point scale. 10 points for price, presentation, construction, flavor, and experience for a potential max score of 50. We do this to set ourselves apart from the 100-point ranking system that everybody else uses. So, Nick, as we talk about presentation, what are your thoughts on the Leaf by Oscar?
Presentation was cool. It was like a regular Leaf by Oscar. I like the difference in color band, which is a little bit lighter than normal, but then the Jeff was a little bit darker than normal. And the cigar was like kind of ugly, but a nice ugly, where the color was, the color differentiated between dark and it got lighter in some spots.
Maybe intriguing.
Yeah.
Is the right word.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8.
8 on presentation from Nick. I had a 7 for presentation. The Leaf thing, in terms of presentation, first of all, it is coherent. That's why it gets, a higher score. Everything works well together. I do think it's a little gimmicky. I'm not going to lie. It's not always bad, but it's kind of one of those like, wow, this is new and grabs my attention when it first comes out. And then, at this point, 10th anniversary, it's not unique or special anymore. These came in their own box, which, was fine and kind of just carried the brand along. So, man, I hate to like shit on somebody's passion project, but it's just a little boring to me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I gave it a 7. As far as the wrapper color goes, I do think a lot of that is actually from the Jeff, from the outer wrapper leaf.
Yeah.
I think it can't help but interact with the tobacco below it. And from looking at the, like you described, tiger stripes, that almost just seems like wrinkles on the outer Jeff. where they touched the cigar. That's what it looks like to me.
Right.
Right, and they interacted. So, all right. So 8 overall score for presentation. So moving on to price, the MSRP on this is $11.50. We're smoking the 6x52 Toro. Now that's the MSRP. You're probably going to pay more than that, and that also doesn't include taxes. So now I paid like $14.50, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which I think is a more realistic price in our neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Although this was over the border in Maryland, which has more taxes. So maybe $12.50, $13 in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on price there?
It's okay. I think that the price is not, I mean, it's not a steal, but it's also it's not overpriced. So it's adequately priced, 7.
7 on price. And this is where we flip-flop. I gave it an 8 on price. And the main reason for that is, I also consider value. So for the cigars I can buy in this price range, this is one I would go back and buy again.
Oh, nice. That's great.
Yeah, like it really does have a delicious flavor that doesn't get old as you smoke the cigar down, and really just keep wanting more. It is a mid-body, so depending on what you're looking for, and while the smoke output is good, it is a light smoke. So, I know plenty of guys that their daily smokes are like New Worlds and Padrones and stuff, and this probably isn't the stick for them.
Right.
If you like flavorful, mid-bodied cigars, it's a great hit. So I give it an 8 on price based on that. So moving on to construction. Nick, what are your thoughts there?
Oh, the construction was good. I think that the burn wasn't as sharp as I wanted it to be, but again, as you reference pretty frequently, we're talking and we're doing this and we're doing that. So the construction was good. The smoke output was good. Not stellar by any means, but again, this could be a user error. I'll give it a 7.
Yeah, I've got a 7 for construction as well. I do have, you can see right here around where the cap is wrapped, a couple of those wrinkles in there. They didn't end up being tongueable. So, sometimes when you have those little variations on the cap, they do stick in the back of your mind and you find yourself like lipping them and tonguing them and stuff like that. I didn't really get to that point, but could be done better. I noticed when you were smoking, there was one point where the combustion line, where the leaf was overwrapped, it started to separate the wrapper leaf, and it corrected itself. But again, could be better. So I've got a 7 there for construction as well. And how about flavor?
The flavor on the cigar was pretty unique. It stood out a lot, especially in the first third. I'll give it an 8.
8 for flavor from Nick.
For, we spoke about a lot of the kind of the weird but good interlayered flavors.
Yeah, I agree. So, again, I have to credit our toasting technique a little bit, but the first few puffs and the first half inch, super enjoyable. Definitely, I would say like raisin bran with a little holiday spice on the retrohale, just enough to say, hey, I'm here. You're smoking me, but nothing that like punched you in the face. And all of the flavors were like subtle, played well together. So that the total flavor profile throughout the cigar has been just really well balanced.
Yeah.
And it's just enjoyable. Like, it's a good flavor, the flavors they got to play together in this cigar. So I gave it an 8 for flavor as well. And that brings us to experience. So just off the top of my head, thinking about this cigar, what is it? What is its use case, like we talk about? I don't think this is a fishing cigar. I don't think it's a doing yard work or fucking around cigar.
Right.
But it could be a football party cigar.
Yep.
Definitely could be a lounge cigar.
Yep.
Could be a sitting on your back porch cigar.
Yep.
Grilling cigar.
Yep.
So it's fairly versatile.
Yeah.
It's smooth and medium bodied, which means you don't have to pay too much attention to it, and it's not going to knock you on your ass by accident.
Right.
you could have it, on an empty stomach, stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of ways you could enjoy it.
Yeah.
For me in the lounge, just getting to pay attention to it, also sharing it with some whiskey,
Yep.
with another cigar, Passionado. I had a really good experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I would give it an 8 for experience.
Yeah.
Nick, what are your thoughts?
I'll give it a 7. I think it's not an everyday cigar, but it's also not a special occasion cigar.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in between.
Yeah. Which is a little awkward, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good call. And that gives our Leaf by Oscar 10th Anniversary Criollo a 39 ranking. So, good showing by Oscar. Thanks for this Leaf. And we also got to sample some Maker's Mark, which was cool. So, thank you, all of you out there in the interwebs, for following along Burnline Podcast. Don't forget to reach out, burnlinepodcast@gmail.com, and follow us on all the socials at Burnline Podcast. We will see you again next week.